So fairy tales they've also been a subject that have come up in my work at various times. I very consciously made a body of work that was based on the Cinderella myth, seen through a queer lens. And the title for that show came from a feminist work called The Cinderella Complex, which was by a feminist writer in the 70s, Colette Dowling. And I appropriated that title because queer art was informed, or the genesis of queer theory was informed by feminist works, and so I felt like it was an appropriate homage to that work. During the research for that body of work, Cinderella Complex, I remembered seeing some photographs of my grandmother that were taken back in the 1920s before she was married. And there were these beautiful black and white photographs, some of her with her family dressed. She was dressed as an 18th century dandy, so just dressed as a man, going off to the village fair with her brothers and sisters and her mother. And it's quite a beautiful photograph of her and her family. And then there's another photograph of her dressed in her brother's best Sunday suit. And so she's wearing a black hat and a black suit and spats, and I think she's got a cigar in her mouth. And I remember seeing that photograph, and I think as a kid, knowing you're kind of queer growing up, you're looking for sort of signifiers unconsciously, or certain images resonate with you anyway. And that those images really stayed with me for whatever reason. I had great affection for my grandmother, who died when I was 5, so I didn't know her that long, but I think she was a strong influence in my life, and certainly the stories that were told to me later about her and the values that she shared. She was a beautiful person and a beautiful spirit, and so I felt like 25 years later, when I was making that work, I was sort of channeling some of that energy of her. It seemed to fit with that theme of the Cinderella complex.